Today on the podcast, I welcome once again the operations manager of Camp Manitou, Mike Plume.
Reluctantly.
This podcast brought to you by homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals, and thompsonmortgages.com. They take care of the financials. You search for your perfect home. The combination of these two sponsors has helped me facilitate multiple real estate transactions, including my most recent move right here in 2025. Now here's today's show.
Reluctantly.
I'm back for the trifecta, baby.
You're even wearing the swag from Camp Manitou today.
I'm wearing the swag. Yep. This is the equivalent of Godfather 3. So it doesn't have to be very good.
This was your 12th or 13th year at Camp Manitou?
I started 20 years ago this summer. June 2005 was my first year at camp. But I think it's my 13th year working for them. I worked for 4 years, and then I left and worked for the Tim Hortons Foundation for 2 or 3 years, and then I came back for 4 years, and then now I've been back for the last, 5 years. So yeah, 13, 14 years.
And for anybody who's maybe tuning in for the first time, unfamiliar with the podcast, or maybe unfamiliar with Mike's work, he's 30 plus years as a writer and
Maker-upper.
Maker-upper, Canadiana extraordinaire, traipsing across the country and around the world, singing to receptive audiences.
That's right.
And MikePlume.com is the website if you want to check out Mike's music. We've been longtime friends, and as a matter of fact, Mike was one of the first 3 podcasts that I did back in October. It was Mike Plume, David Gogo, and Clayton Bellamy were the first 3 that I released all on the same day, October 24th, 2024. And we spoke in February. We did a 4-month catch-up, and then things kind of got away from us because we decided we were going to do a 4-month catch-up every 4 months, but it's been the better part of 6 since we spoke.
Yeah, I think maybe this one's in metric or something.
But a lot has happened since we spoke in February. I am now 60 episodes deep on this ridiculous podcast.
Yeah. Hey, hats off to you, man. How about that?
Well, thanks, yeah. For something that people
reluctantly went into.
Yeah, hence the name. But yeah, for 10 years, people have been asking me to do a podcast, and I finally acquiesced. The other thing that happened this spring, you had your tour through Canada with Joel.
Joel opened the shows, yeah.
And,
I'm trying to think, were you did I see you in Edmonton? I don't think I did.
No, I was out of town I had to go out of town on a short notice sort of thing. So I was not able to make the show. I believe it was a Thursday night.
It was a Thursday night. It was a good show. It was a fun time. Probably the best show I've ever done, and you missed it. Oh, well.
Well, I would probably disagree. I don't know. I was I wasn't there, but I've seen some pretty good Mike Plume and Mike Plume band shows over the years.
You missed it, man. It's like when you're driving through a provincial park and you see, oh look, there's a 2-headed albino moose. We'll get a picture of it next time we come through. We don't have time to stop. And that was the 2-headed albino moose of a show that you missed it, buddy.
That was a quick run through Western Canada for the most part, because you had played some shows earlier in the year or late in 2024 in Quebec and Ontario, and you did a few.
Just around the Toronto area, actually. The Quebec thing ended up keeps getting pushed back just because the venue itself isn't ready. Black Sheep in Wakefield, Quebec. They're going through a lot of just political things, just trying to determine when they're going to reopen and maybe be sold. And there's a whole bunch of stuff. So shows are being booked and then canceled. And anyway, but I played maybe 6 Monday nights at a little place called the Cameron House in Toronto. And it's a really cool little room. You walk in, you feel like you're in the scene of like an old movie or something. Pretty cool spot. But that was really the only shows I did last year. And this was my first run out west since September of 23. So 2 years ago almost that I was last out west. That was a full band run, and that was a 2-headed albino moose of a tour. I think we just coined a phrase.
The two-headed albino moose. It's going to be on the new coins with the king's head on the other
think so.
side.
I think I see the title of this episode. Anyway, so that was fun. That was 2 years ago, and then I did that run in March with Joel. Went to a hockey game in Winnipeg. The Capitals were in town, so we saw Ovechkin score a beauty. So that was fun. Yeah, that was it. And I don't really have any more shows this year. I might do a couple shows at the Cameron House again in November, December, but we'll see.
Wakefield with the place, the Black Sheep that you played. That place has quite a storied existence with the Mike Plume band and Mike Plume, does it not? Is that not where the Harpers?
That is exactly where Prime Minister Harper and his wife Laureen came to see us play. Yeah, but we first played the Black Sheep in September of '97. That was the first time we darkened the door, and then from there, it just kind of it felt like we played in Wakefield twice a year for the next 25 years. The last time we played there was, and it was always the weekend closest to summer solstice and the weekend closest to winter solstice is when we would play there. And it just became a thing, and I never thought it would end. And it ended for no other reason than the pandemic shut the whole thing down. We last played there in I guess mid-June or something like that of 2019. I said, okay, we'll see you when we, next time around. And it just didn't pan out. Obviously, we got thrown into that pandemic, and then now the club is being sold, and they're trying to determine what the hell they're going to do. And it was for such a great, vibrant venue. It was boarded up for about the last 4 years, just like plywood on the windows. It was amazing how it all just sort of went away so quickly. I remember I was in Wakefield about 2 years ago now, and driving by the Black Sheep, and it was like you'd think 100 years had gone by since it had closed. It was over. It was done. But hopefully they can, bring it back to its former glory.
Is it a heritage building or anything like that, or has it become derelict, or like you said, the boards were over the windows?
Yeah.
But is it?
I don't know. I don't think there's no plaque on the outside of it, but there could be. But there could be a plaque on that entire town. It's a pretty. I don't think there's been a new build in Wakefield probably since the 1940s. It seems all the houses are old, just character homes. But yeah, when they closed it, it was they just, I guess, just to maybe keep hooligans from throwing rocks through the windows, they put plywood over the top. That's my only guess why they did it. Anyway, I do know that they've spent a lot of money on renovations in the last year on it, getting things up and running. So now they're just connecting. They're just crossing their I's and dotting their T's.
Well, I guess the other question I was going to have is does somebody currently own it? But if somebody's doing renovations on it, then obviously it's got owners. Because me being a real estate junkie, always looking for an opportunity.
Oh boy,
maybe we could go halfers on the Black Sheep Inn.
Nothing would make me happier. Nothing would make me happier. I'm telling you.
Would you do that? Would you invest in a place, a live venue, a small pub, 100-seater, or something smaller, something bigger, a coffee house in the morning, and a wine and acoustic performance place in the evening, kind of thing? Is that something that you could see yourself maybe doing?
As long as my partner wouldn't mind my check being stapled to a tennis ball for my half. I would love to do something like that. That would be a hoot. Little Airbnb, great breakfast joint and stuff. But again, that's all pie in the sky stuff. I haven't really, not sure I have the financial wiggle room to pull something like that off. But that, if I could, I think Wakefield would be the town I would want to do it in. It's just a real, it's 20 minutes from Ottawa. That's it. It's not much of a further drive than from where you are to downtown Edmonton. I mean, it's not that much further, but it's just on the Quebec side, and it's a great little town.
That's something I was gonna. You said of all, it would be a great place to do it in Wakefield, Quebec. But that was going to be my next question: is if you could do something like if something like that dropped into your lap and
Mm,
you had the means to do it right then, would you go to Wakefield? Would you go to some place close to where you were born in the Maritimes or out west here around the Edmonton area, or would you go back to Nashville or like what's the spot? What's the ideal spot
yeah,
for
that's
Mike
a
Plume?
boy. I don't know, man. There would be a lot of great little towns in the Maritimes that could have a place like that. You know, I don't know. I just don't know what the turnout would be like. But there's a little town like St. Martin's in New Brunswick is just a gorgeous little town right on the water. Shedjack, New Brunswick is a nice little place. It'd be a great spot to have a little joint. Wakefield, of course. There are places in and around Edmonton too. I mean, my problem is, I've kind of lived everywhere, and so I could be convinced to live anywhere now. Anywhere that I've spent any amount of time in, I could move back to in a heartbeat because I certainly have a fondness for everywhere I've lived.
We talked about the Black Sheep and the Harpers, Prime Minister Harper and
Yeah.
Lorraine, going to see you perform there. There's more to the story, and we've talked about it in person, but I don't think we've ever talked about it on my radio show,
Hmm.
and I don't believe we've talked about it on the podcast. But it wasn't just at the Black Sheep Inn that you crossed paths
That's right.
with Prime Minister Harper.
That's right. We were drinking on the Sunset Strip and we are hanging out with Slash.
No, that was
Well,
when you
hang on.
saw Slash naked. That
That's
was
right.
a different story. I
That's
was
right. Different
talking
story. The Prime
about
Minister was not there for that. That's right. I mix all this stuff up. Uh, yeah. So in like May of 2014, I was sitting at home in Nashville, and I got a phone call, and I look on the it was a I think it was an area code, like a 914 area code or whatever the Ottawa area code is. I recognized it as the Ottawa area code, which I can't think of now off the top of my head. But anyway, I recognized it as an Ottawa phone number. So I answered and it says, "Hi, is this Mike Plume?" I said, "Yeah." And they said, "This is Prime Minister Harper's office." And and you hear this all the time. Everybody says, "Oh, I just figured it was a buddy of mine, doing a prank." But anyway, it says the Prime Minister Harper's office. And like the first thing I thought is like, I'm being audited, like from the very top here. I'm in big trouble. My little GST problem got way out of hand here, and now I'm in. I'll tell you my GST grief one of these days. Kids, don't get a GST number if you don't think you're going to be gigging because you're still going to have to pay GST. But anyway, so and I just the whole thing was just very caught me off guard. See, this Prime Minister Harper's office, and so I'm just kind of, oh, okay, wow, thanks, yeah. And they said, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but Mrs. Harper, Laureen Harper, she's a big fan of your band. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. Wasn't expecting this phone call today. And they said, we see that you're playing in Wakefield in a month. And it just so happens that the following day is her 50th birthday. And so we're gonna have a little surprise party for her. And wanted to know if you'd come and sing a couple of your songs, 8:30 Newfoundland and More Than a Game and some of your other Canadiana stuff. And I just can't even believe that I'm hearing this. And so I said, yeah, where's this party at? And I said, at 24 Sussex. I think I know where that is. I said, can I bring Jenny? And they said, absolutely. I said, we'll see you there. And they said, okay, we're just going to need a couple of weeks just to plan everything. It still may fall apart, but if everything goes according to plan, then we'll see you on whatever it was, June 21st. It's okay, great. And then about a week, a couple of weeks goes by, maybe a week before the show, they called and they said, yeah, everything's full steam ahead. And so next thing I know, Jenny and I are walking showing our ID at the gate of 24 Sussex, and we walk up to the front door and we go. And she was out on a hike with a bunch of pals. I don't know, she was somewhere in Quebec, like just outside of town. And so there was about 30 of us waiting there to yell surprise when she walked in. And yeah, we met everybody. Like, so the first person to greet us was the Prime Minister. He's like, "Hey, Mike, thanks so much for doing this, and this is really gonna make the night and the whole thing. And can I get you a beer?" I'm like, "Yeah, you got Keith's?" He goes, "I'm pretty sure we got Keith's in the fridge." And so away he goes to the kitchen to get me a pint of Keith's. And it was all surreal. It was a very, very much like a Forrest Gump moment yet again. A lot of people call me Forrest. I even married someone named Jenny, but it was great. And so we're sort of standing around there, and about half an hour after visiting with everybody, they said, "Okay, her car's coming through the gate." And so we all gather around the front door, and the door opens up, and she yells, or we all yell surprise, and she's like, "You assholes!" It was very funny. And then she went around and said hello to everybody, and then I'm thinking she's gonna get to me and go, "And you would be," you know. I'm thinking I'm expecting her to say, when I said Mike, I meant Buble. Um, how many guys said no before you landed on this dimwit? Um, but anyway, I was really thinking that there's no way she's gonna, like, I'm just so embarrassed. I was very embarrassed. And anyway, there was no need to be embarrassed. So she goes, she's like saying hi to all her friends, and she goes, "And I know who you are, and I am so glad that you are here." She goes, "Did you bring your guitar?" I said, "I did." She goes, "I would love it if you sang some songs." And I said, "I will." And so I did. So we sort of had pizza, like, and then next ding dong, it's the pizza guy's here. So the pizza guy shows up with like 20 pizzas to 24 Sussex. And we're standing around drinking Molson Canadian and Keith's and eating pizza with the Prime Minister. And then it was great. It was just interesting to see somebody just in a just a more everyday average Joe kind of way. He was just wearing jeans and a golf shirt. And and like all Canadians, we all took our shoes off at the door. And it was just yeah, it was crazy. And then towards the end of the night, it only lasted, the party went from like 5 until maybe 8. And so by 8 o'clock, the party's really thinning out, and there's nobody left, and people are leaving, and we're like, well, we're just gonna call a cab and head back to the hotel. We were staying at the Chateau Laurier or something like that, I think it is, in Ottawa, which is it's kind of like the Hotel McDonald in Edmonton. We decided to fall off our wallet and get a nice hotel that night because of just thought it'd be fun, stay in a nice hotel after hanging out at 24 Sussex. And so we're just gonna catch a cab back to the hotel. And Mrs. Harper's assistant said, my fiance is picking me up in half an hour. We'll give you guys a ride back to your hotel. Why don't you guys just stay here and visit? Okay, that sounds good. So we're just hanging out, sitting in the backyard, 24 Sussex, watching the sunset over the river, and it was beautiful. And then I started to look around, and it's just Jenny and me and Mr. and Mrs. Harper. Like, it was just the four of us sitting there, like power couples. It's like I felt like Jay-Z and Beyonce or something. It was bizarre. It was a very bizarre thing to be sitting there, just the four of us, and they were just talking about their kids, and we were talking about Ruby, and just sort of, just being like a couple of four proud parents. It was an interesting thing. It was again, interesting to see that, just the average Joe side of things. No matter, regardless of which way you voted politically and all that kind of stuff, I don't care. It was just nice to sort of see the just the regular Joe side of him and them. And it was great. And then we left, and then all the guys in my band were waiting in this pub down the street, and so they were way ahead of Jenny and I, drinking wise. So we made short work to catch up, and we had a great time. And that was the end of it. And then, about 4 months later, I got an email from her saying, "Hey, I see you're playing in Wakefield in December. I think we're going to come see you." And then I'm like, "Okay, wow, that's amazing." And so sure enough, they came to the show. And when she said, "I think we booked a table," I'm thinking it's just going to be her and her pals. I'm not thinking the Prime Minister is going to be there. And then at some point, a half an hour before showtime, Ben Wilson, my bass player, he came barging into the dressing room. He's like, "I just ran into Stephen Harper coming out of the men's washroom." So I went down and said hi and thanked him for coming to the show and asked him if he wanted to, because he plays piano. So I asked him if he wanted to play some piano. And I said, everything's in the key of G. You'll be fine. And he says, I think I'll leave this to the pros tonight. And so we did the show and it was great. And as soon as the show was done, they got in like 4 Escalades and tore off into the snowy night. It was beautiful. It was like right out of the movies. And Jenny's folks had driven up from Connecticut for the show as well. So if you ever want to impress your in-laws, that's a good way to do it. So the next morning, we just wake up and Jenny's like, "Hey, I'm going to go down to the restaurant and have breakfast with my dad before they drive back to Connecticut." It's okay. I said, "I'll be down in a minute. I'm just going to check emails and have a quick shower, and then I'll be right down." And so I hop on and there's the first email that comes in. It's from Laureen Harper. She says, "Hey, great show last night. If you got time today before you fly out, swing by for breakfast. P.S. Bring your in-laws." So I called down to the restaurant, or called down to Jenny. I said, "Jenny, have you guys ordered breakfast yet?" She goes, "No, why?" I said, "Ask your dad if he wants to go to have breakfast with the Harpers." And she's like, "Mike wants to know if you want to have breakfast with the Harpers." "Yes." "Okay." So boom, an hour later, we're pulling up to the gate at 24 Sussex again, and it's snowing. It's like a Charlie Brown Christmas, and it's just a perfect weather for mid-December. And we're walking up to they got that big horseshoe driveway, and you're walking up, and every window has a Christmas wreath in it, and it's just it's a Charlie Brown Christmas, and it's just lightly snowing, and every window's got a Christmas wreath, and everything's decorated to the nines. And my father-in-law is walking up, and he's like, "Do I know how to pick a son-in-law or what?" And I've probably done nothing but let him down since that day. But boy, did I hit a home run that day. And we went in, and we had just a great. We sat there and had breakfast with them, and we were there for probably 3 or 4 hours. Just
Wow.
yeah. And then we left and said goodbye. And I've crossed paths with them a couple of times since in Alberta. But when I was waiting at the airport that night, after having breakfast with them, I got a message on Instagram or on Facebook, and it was a very very ugly message to me and the people that I keep company with. We've been lifelong fans, and we're appalled that Stephen Harper was at your show, and even doubly appalled that we found out that you actually have hung out with him. I can't believe that you would be one of those types. It was unbelievable. And it was a drag to see that. And that's, I write a lot of little stories about my stuff that's happened to me on the road and stuff, and I haven't written that story yet because I don't feel like having to deal with every other person going on some political rant. I don't feel like dealing with it. So this is probably the only time I've told this story, actually. But it was interesting, just like this. And I did message the person back, and I said, "Look, he and his wife are fans of the band, and we were invited for breakfast. And I don't really think I did anything wrong." I said, "I have friends who are fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and I'm still friends with them. I'm not really sure if which way somebody leans politically should determine whether or not I can be friends with them." And I didn't get a response back, so she either was blocked all further messages from me or was embarrassed. Either or, I don't really care. But it did shine a light on some just interesting things that I didn't really take into consideration.
Well, I hope she didn't hit any of the edges while she took a flying leap into a flushing toilet.
That's a good one. I will be using that. The sun will not set before I trot that line out.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by ThompsonMortgages.com. Not limited to just mortgages. They also provide insurance. Almost any service associated with a home or building purchase can be done in-house. And for anything beyond that, they have an extensive network of professionals at their fingertips. Consolidations, loans, mortgages, legal services, accounting services, financial planning, insurance, They are your one-stop shop. How do I know this? Well, Mike at ThompsonMortgages.com has helped us out with our mortgages for the last few real estate transactions that we have made. You can be confident that they will work hard to ensure all your mortgage and insurance goals are fulfilled. Check them out for yourself. ThompsonMortgages.com.
Reluctantly.
You talked about sitting with Mr. and Mrs. Harper on the back over the river watching the sunset, you and Jenny being proud parents talking about your kids.
Yeah.
And Ruby Tallulah Plume is your one and only daughter.
That's her.
And I know there's not a lot of bravado when it comes to the Plumes, but there is reason for some now, especially with Ruby.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, I really thought until the pandemic hit, I thought Ruby was going to get a full ride playing hockey because she was a really good hockey player and probably still is a really good hockey player. But when the pandemic hit, she was captain of the hockey team, the whole thing. But when the pandemic hit, she picked up the guitar. And I mean, she had been playing the cello and the ukuleles probably since grade 2, I guess. Like the school she went to in Nashville, in second grade, every kid had to play a stringed instrument. So they could either play the cello, the violin, or viola. And so she played the cello. And so her ear was already developed a bit anyway. Probably even more than a bit. So she was playing Beatles songs on the ukulele or whatever, Adele songs. But the pandemic hit and she started playing the guitar. And she just became like I was, and probably like anybody when you're a teenager and you pick up the guitar, you just can't stop playing it. So she played it all the time. And then she decided she wanted to go to music school if she could. So she applied to a school down in Nelson, British Columbia. And she also, stepped up to the plate and made a swing for Berklee School of Music in Boston. And she got accepted at both, decided to go to Berklee. And off she went. I couldn't believe that, our daughter was going to be a musician. And I think I've said this to you before, probably maybe on the podcast or certainly at some point, but I kind of feel like Marlon Brando, Don Corleone, when he's talking to Michael after he finds out that it was Michael who killed the cop and Salazzo. And he says, I never wanted this for you, Mike. I was always kind of hoping you'd be Senator Corleone. I wanted it to be you pulling the strings. And that's kind of what I was thinking with Ruby as well. But, I guess I didn't voice my grievances with the music business enough in her presence. But anyway, so off she went to Berklee, and she loves it. And then and she's writing and recording, and she signed a little record deal out of New York City and management and the whole management out of Los Angeles, and she's on a nice little trajectory there. But there's a saying at Berklee School of Music, which is if you graduate from Berklee has failed you. So and there's a laundry list of musicians who went to Berklee who dropped out, and Ruby is just the most recent in that long line of musicians who have dropped out. John Mayer being another one. Countless. In fact, I only know one person that graduated from Berklee, and that's Jenny. But besides that, everybody else I know who went to Berklee dropped out, and the reason they drop out is things just start to unfold for them. And so anyway, Ruby was offered a to go back to The Godfather. She was made an offer she couldn't refuse, and so even her guidance counselor says, yeah, you should probably investigate this more. So she dropped out of school and she's off to Los Angeles. She's gonna write songs, and she's gonna keep recording and everything else. She's got all that going on, but she will be generating a monthly income writing songs. And I mean, that's just kind of what everybody wants to do. And I couldn't possibly be happier. I just could not possibly be happier. And yeah, amen. Hats off to her.
I am so proud of her, knowing her and you talked about her playing the cello. I was at your place in Nashville and listening to her
Hmm.
play Beatles songs
Yeah.
and watching her ride, or seeing the garage full
BMX
of,
bikes.
BMX
Yeah.
trophies from all of her accomplishments,
Yeah.
seeing her hockey, escapades and we went golfing together. She's a terrific little
She's a
golfer,
great golfer too. Yeah. I don't know what the heck's going on
and
with her. She's a bit of an overachiever. But yeah, good on her. But what, like, she's always been like that. But it's like, if you're gonna do something, then fucking do it. Don't half-ass it. What's the point? So she's always been like that. And so good on her, because that will pay off in the long run. She's got things going on in LA, so I'm very excited for her. She's got family there. Jenny's sister is moving there. Ruby's got a couple of cousins who live in Los Angeles, so she will not be far away from a Thanksgiving dinner. Let's put it that way.
well, tell her, congratulations. I follow her on Instagram, but I don't want to be that, her dad's weird old friend.
That's right. Well,
That
I hate to tell you this, but you are. Um,
well, and it's seeing her trajectory, as you called it, from all of the things that she's accomplished at such a high level. It's no wonder that this has happened with this publishing deal. So good for her.
yeah.
And I think back to her and Riley singing the John Lennon song at
Wow.
Christmas on
Hmm.
Christmas Jam, and they were never really pals or anything like that or hung out together, but there was always that knowledge of each other
Yeah.
kind of thing, and one keeping an eye on the other and the other keep an eye on the one and stuff.
Absolutely.
So it's
That's very interesting. I'd kind of forgotten about that, but yeah, you're right. That's funny how that works, isn't it? Yeah, there's about a 7-year age difference, so that's a bit of a gap.
Riley will be 28
Yeah,
in November.
yeah, she just turned 21, so she could
Yeah.
officially her last fake ID was confiscated sometime in mid-June, so she had to go 2 or 3 weeks without access to a pub, but she's good to go now.
Did you facilitate the fake ID early in her teen years, or
No, that's
what?
no. I no, and I said, Ruby, you're just gonna have to get like a fake ID, because she left Alberta. She was 18, and so she was already good to go. I said, you have to get a fake ID. I already got one. Oh, okay. So yeah,
Little slow on the draw there, pops.
whoops. That was very funny.
We got Riley a fake ID when he was 14. The first one we got him said he was 22, which
Well, he was probably 6'3" at that time anyway. So
oh, not at 14 he wasn't.
no,
So we had to contact the guy again and said, "Hey man, would you mind making it just, 18 instead of 22? I
yeah.
mean, 18's hard enough to explain, and I'm already father of the year smuggling him into bars so he could play and stuff."
Yeah.
So we paid for two, father and mother of the year. We bought our son fake
There you
IDs.
go. You should be proud. I would
Oh
put
man.
that on. I would have that tacked to the refrigerator if I were you. I wish she still had her fake ID, but it's gone. It got confiscated her last trip to Nashville, of all places. What are you gonna do?
Reluctantly.
This podcast is reluctantly sponsored by the real estate team of homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals. If you are buying or selling in the Edmonton region, Shauna and Bonnie can handle everything with strong industry connections to mortgage brokers, home inspectors, lawyers, and contractors to support every step of the process. The market is very active right now. We recently listed our home again, and it went from MLS to closing conditions in 8 days. Now, of course, results may vary from property to property, but Shauna and Bonnie have been our trusted real estate advisors through buying and selling no less than 7 properties. I've recommended them to many friends who want real, relatable people with a personalized, hands-on approach. New home, investment, recreational, even commercial properties. Homegirls.ca is the website. Email info is right there. And the phone number is 780-517-HOME.
Reluctantly.
We are recording this on August 20th, 25. And today, was it today or yesterday? The 9th anniversary since the final concert for the Tragically Hip in Kingston, Ontario.
I think it's today. I think it was the 20th.
Your writings, your musings, the things you jot down. What is that website where people can go and read your Substack?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go to my website.
Is it
there. It's all on my website there as well, or you can click on a link in my website. I've been writing, but I haven't finished anything in a long time. It's all coming together, but I haven't posted anything new.
I said, I seem to recall seeing one of your posts. Everybody's got a Tragically Hip story. Here's mine.
That's right.
But you've got a bunch.
I got, I do have a couple. I have a couple of hip stories, but we recorded our Fools for the Radio album at their studio. So that was pretty cool, but we never saw the guys. They were on the road. What album were they promoting? Music at Work. That was in November and December of 2001. But yeah, I'll always be a hip fan. I'll always be a hip fan. In fact, I just watched that documentary. I just watched that again the other day. Great documentary. Interesting the way the entire country came together on that. I mean, maybe not 38 million people, but the majority of people with a Canadian passport. You felt like the whole country was united in the summer of 2017. It was really something. And as I'm looking at footage, because I'm obsessed with this lately, I am obsessed with this Oasis reunion that's going on, and it just finished up in Dublin the other day. You get the feeling that this is really doing a lot of good for a lot of people, and I just feel like there's this unity going on in the UK because of this. I think that a lot of these people have sort of splintered over the years, and I think they're all just sort of coming together for a pint of beer and sing, Champagne Supernova. Anyway, back to the hip, but it has this very similar thing. The Oasis one is just all sheer joy. I mean, there's people are so happy at these shows. The hip one was, it was bittersweet. People were coming to say goodbye. It was like a living wake every stop along the way. I mean, he would just stand out on stage for it felt like 15 minutes after the last note and just wave, and he was just nodding to everybody. He was taking it all in, and he was giving everybody their chance to say goodbye as best they could. It was powerful. Did you go to either of those shows in Edmonton? What's your problem?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I'll go see them next time they roll through. There's that
two-headed. No. I knew the gravity of everything that was happening. Yeah. Obviously, having known the hip as long as I have, but I didn't go, and it was sold out, and I had a chance to go, and I didn't go.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why. I don't know if it was something that had come up, if there was a specific reason, or if I didn't want to say goodbye.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either, because it was heavy. I went both nights in Edmonton. Yeah, it was fantastic. And that documentary kind of captures it too. There's a great bit at the end where Robbie Baker's talking about how he after the tour, and he went home, and he had everybody sort of decompressed and stuff, and he was home, and he got an email from somebody, from a fan somewhere like in Pennsylvania. And the guy sort of said, he went to a couple shows, but watched the last show on TV, and he said this thing about like how when you start a band, every band that starts, basically the whole band, they get in this hot air balloon, and then the balloon starts to fill up, and the band starts to rise, and then you start floating down, and every band is up there. And the guy said, at some point those balloons come down, and usually in a heap. But you guys stuck the landing. You guys were maybe the only band in history to stick the landing and go, good night, we're done. And it's unbelievable. And then when you look at it in that light, like that is spectacular. It's like, I don't know, winning the Super Bowl on and knowing full well that this is your last game, and you throw
Right.
like Peyton Manning knew full well that this was his last crack at it, and he won the Super Bowl. Good way to go out. But yeah, the way the Hip wound that down was it's spectacular. And I really think only a bunch of guys who have been pals since high school could do that.
Yeah, with it being 9 years now, it's only been within the last couple that Paul and Robbie and Gordon, some of the other guys have started. I don't know if surfacing is the
Right.
correct word. Maybe it is, but starting to do something on social media. Like Paul was playing, showing people how to play one of the Hip songs on his
Wheat
social
Kings,
media
he's
the
doing
other
it.
day.
Yeah.
And Robbie was shown locked in the trunk of the car, and I had lunch with Robbie at the Hotel Mac with a mutual friend. You talk about tragically hip stories. I had lunch with Robbie Baker and a mutual friend at the Hotel McDonald, and we finished up lunch and a few drinks and whatnot, and we came out, and there was a whole bunch of Suburbans, SUVs, and stuff in front of the hotel. So I turned and looked to the bellboy. I said, "What's going on?" And he goes, "Oh, the Prime Minister's up there with Premier Notley."
Yeah.
And Robbie goes, "Oh, is that right?" And I said, "Oh, Justin?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, well, maybe I'll hang for a bit." And they said, "Yeah, he's going to be down in about 10 minutes."
That's funny.
So we got a picture of Justin Trudeau in front of the Hotel Mac.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm going to send you a nasty email right away.
Of course. Oh, I posted it on Facebook, and of course, the thing is, everything gets politicized right away. But I'll tell you something: you turn to anybody on White Avenue and say, "Would you like a picture with the Prime Minister?" No matter who it is, they'll say, "Yes, I would."
Yeah.
And whether you support them or not.
That's right. That's the same thing in Wakefield. I mean, like the guy travels with a photographer, and everybody got their picture taken with him. And I am sure that at least half of those people didn't vote for him. But that's pretty cool about Robbie. I was doing a show in Kingston a long time ago, and I was opening for Steve Earle. How about that? And anyway, so after my show, I'm out in the lobby, and I'm sort of standing at my merch table, and I see Paul Langlois and Robbie Baker walking through the crowd. I'm like, holy shit, the Hip are here. This is amazing. So they're walking towards the table, and I grab a couple of copies of 8:30 Newfoundland for them. And I said, hey, and they're like, hey, great show, man. I'm like, oh yeah. So I go to give them the CD, and they both reach in their pocket, and they had already bought it when they walked when they walked by the merch table. Isn't that great?
That is awesome.
Yeah, they had already had it in their pockets. And then I was talking to the promoter after the show, and I said, the guys from the Hip were here, and he goes, that is so the Tragically Hip. I said, what do you mean? He goes, the Hip are the only band that I know who wouldn't call to be put on the guest list. They buy their own tickets. I thought, I love that too. So I thought that was pretty slick.
There you go. That's another great Tragically Hip story. I have one more from after another roadside attraction back in the day.
Well, that's a tour I would like to have seen, which I guess I kind of did because I saw them in Dallas in 1993, and the roadside attraction was in the summer of '93. But
right. So that summer I was working at the Bear, and after another roadside attraction, there was a old movie theater downtown Edmonton. I can't remember the name of it now. I always forget, but it converted into a pool hall, and whoever was in charge, whether it be the promoter or Ticketmaster, Live Nation, whoever it was, had reserved it for after the show. So all the bands that went there, and I ended up playing 9-ball with Gord Downey and Peter
from Midnight Oil.
From Midnight Oil, and Robbie. And so we're playing and just blabbing and drinking and whatnot until the wee hours of the morning. And I'll never forget Gord sets the cue ball down to play 9-ball, and it's the triangle of balls, just 9. And the idea is to sink all the balls in order until you get to the 9-ball, right? So anyway, he goes down and he makes his shot and hits the break and sinks the 9-ball after the break and right off the break. And he just, remember that big jowly smile that he had with his cheek would come up.
Yeah.
He just turned and looked at me and just gave me that big smile and didn't say a word. It was the greatest. I still can see that face right
that
in
grin,
front of me.
that great grin. So that's a great story too. That theater, is that the one it's on Jasper Avenue?
Yeah, right on Jasper Avenue. It's
in between 109th and 97, like somewhere like right in that court, like 105th.
Yeah,
104th.
It's like 102nd Street or something like that, and I always forget the name of what. Yeah, I always forget the name of what it was.
I can't remember either, but I do know I went to see the U2 movie Rattle and Hum at that theater.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. We lost Ozzy Osbourne not too long ago.
Yeah.
Now I know you never toured with Ozzy,
right?
And I don't know if you're an Ozzy fan, but I know you have thoughts about music, about icons, about impact, about people leaving legacies and stuff. I just wondered. I knew I just kind of threw you on the bus on this, but what are your thoughts on Ozzy?
Well, I think probably pretty consistent with everybody else. I mean, he was an absolute one-off. You know, he wrote some great songs. I listened to way more like Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman. Those records, like I like, they became a part of my DNA. Like in 1982, 83, 84, 85. Those records I listened to all the time. Flying High Again, Over the Mountain, obviously Crazy Train, but the song Diary of a Madman, that song just would scare the hell out of me. And I remember sitting with the lyrics for Diary of a Madman. And I would have been, this would have been 1984, 1985. And just being like, those are just some of the greatest lyrics I'd ever heard. I wasn't a musician. I didn't want to be a musician. I was going to be a hockey player or a professional BMX rider. But those lyrics, The Diary of a Madman, horrified me. I couldn't believe how great they were. In fact, I even wrote them down once. I just wrote them down because I just liked the way they sounded and read. And I remember one day my mom was going through my scribble. She's like, "Did you write this?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "No, you didn't." I'm like, "No, I didn't." But I had totally forgotten that until right now. But for some reason, I had written down all those lyrics to Diary of a Madman. Screaming out the window. Yeah, and I remember she found that in my scribblers. I think she wanted to see if I was actually doing homework, and her hunches were confirmed I wasn't. But on the first page though were the lyrics to Diary of a Madman. I just couldn't believe somebody could write that. And that was probably one of the very, if not one of the very earliest instance for me where I marveled at the lyrics to a song. But Ozzy totally lived his life the way he wanted to. I watched footage of that last concert, and he still sounded great. You know, he still sounded great. But it still sounded great in the way like Neil Young still sounds great. If you don't like Ozzy's voice, you're never going to like Ozzy's voice. But if you do, he still sounds as great as he did the first time he opened up his mouth for, War Pigs or whatever. And same as Neil Young. First time you heard Neil Young sing Cinnamon Girl, he still sounds like that same guy. If you don't like him, that's fine. But if you do, his voice has not changed at all. It's still as unique and as strong as ever. And you can't say that about a lot of people. Have you seen footage of Axl Rose trying to sing?
Or Vince Neil?
Vince Neil, like, what is he doing? It looks like he's trying to do. I'm going to do an impression of Ozzy with Parkinson's. It's like, what is he? He does not look well at all. Yeah, like Ozzy was way more swift of foot than Vince Neil, and he's without any. He has no lung capacity. Talk about phoning it in. But Axl, I don't know what's going on with Axl. Axl he does not have that powerhouse voice that he used to have. He's just singing in some weird falsetto. But Ozzy, he still had it until a week before he died. and I doubt very much that voice changed in his last week alive, because I couldn't believe how good he sounded.
When you talked about the first time that lyrics had an impact on you and you weren't a musician, you didn't want to be a musician, you thought you were going to be a BMX player or a hockey player. It made me think of my chat with Greg Keeler from Blue Rodeo.
That was a great interview. I love that interview you did.
I had a real hoot talking to Greg.
Yeah.
Thank you. The story about him playing hockey and then all of a sudden being on the ice for Bobby Orr and Frank Mahovlich shooting on him.
That's right. Was he a goaltender? I think he was, right? Yeah. That's interesting.
Well, I think he still plays goal in musicians leagues, or he did up to a certain point. Now he's dealing with some health issues.
Yeah, he's been dealing with some health issues. I know Cuddy plays in the beer league, in the MHL, Musicians Hockey League in Toronto. I know he played hockey in that league. I played in that league 20 years ago when we last lived in Toronto. Downey was a goaltender too. It's a very interesting, because I find a lot of goaltenders tend to be drummers, and it's kind of, you kind of have the same seat in both, in the band and in the on the ice.
You're just standing there looking at a whole bunch of guys' asses.
That's right. Worst seat in showbiz. That's how I introduce Ernie all the time. 40 years with the worst seat in showbiz.
So Camp Manitou is pretty much done for the summer. You're wrapping things up there.
Well, the main 7-week session finished last Thursday. So we had 480 campers and 250 staff or something like that for 7 weeks. And now, so they all left last Thursday, and then by Friday, the cabin was the camp was cleaned top to bottom, and then we welcomed another 300 or 400 campers who are here for the next 2 weeks. And so now the next 2 weeks we have a camp going on called IMC, which stands for Interprovincial Music Camp. And so this is just a full-on music camp for the next 2 weeks. And these kids are like insane musicians. Every last one of them, like a 10-year-old kid to a 17-year-old kid. These kids are all they're not just sort of, it's not like a passing thing. Oh, I think I might want to see what it's like to play the guitar. No, these guys are all shredders. And so for the first week, it's rock and roll and jazz. Those are the two camps going on. So like the jazz concerts every night in the theater are just off the hook. And there's rock and roll concerts in the hangar. And then next week, it's classical. It's the whole week is classical music. And it's just, so we have these orchestras playing everywhere. Like last Friday, after everything at the camp had been cleaned top to bottom, like an 18-wheeler pulls up, loaded down with upright pianos. And every building at camp gets an upright piano. So they load this in, they tune the thing, and it's like, and there's PAs set up in every building, in the hangar, in the theater, every activity building we have, in the dining hall, everywhere, upright piano and a PA. And these kids, it's something to see. So that's what's going on for the next 2 weeks. And then from Labor Day until Thanksgiving, we basically have like groups Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays. Just like might be maybe University of Toronto sends 200 people up for like a team building thing, and so they'll come up for, they'll play roller hockey or zip lining or whatever the hell they want to do. We have campfires, and we sit around the campfire and we all have a good time with that. So we do that, or weddings, and maybe like a yoga retreat, a health and wellness weekend. I call it wealth and hellness, but because you can well imagine. Anyway, it's a lot of fun, and it's just, I've been here for almost 4 months now already. It's crazy. I got here
must be
middle of May. 3 months I've been here.
Must be time for a little vacation, I'm guessing. A little travel time. Are you guys heading anywhere?
Well, Jenny's in Boston right now, helping Ruby pack up for the big move, and then they're gonna go spend a week at Jenny's sister's place in New York. Like she lives about 45 minutes north of New York City in Westchester County. So they're going to go hang out there where the rich folk dwell, and sort of hang around. And then they're driving to Nashville for a week, And then they fly to LA, then get Ruby situated in Los Angeles, and then she'll come back. She'll be back at camp in about a month. Hard to believe. She left yesterday, but she's going to be gone. But as long as she has her access to the internet, she can do all her work anywhere. So she's okay. And then I get back from camp on Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend. I'll get to Toronto that day, and then we'll see. There was a chance of me driving to Los Angeles because we're gonna give Ruby our old Jeep. Our Jeep, we have a little. It's not that old. It's only 3 or 4 years old, but we're gonna give her that Jeep to have a vehicle to drive around Los Angeles. But the hoops we have to jump through to import a vehicle into the United States and then import it into California, it's cheaper to buy one there, you know?
Yeah, I bet.
Well, for one, you can't import a vehicle that's not clear title. So we'd have to pay for the vehicle for starters, import it. And then when you get to LA, it's got to pass every inspection known to man. And this would, because it's only 4 years old. But they make it really hard on you to import a vehicle into California.
Yeah, emissions.
Yeah, so we're just gonna get something there, maybe lease for something, little Mini Cooper or something, and see where that lands. But
yeah, something big enough to put a guitar in the back
bingo.
of.
Yeah. But I was looking forward to that, and I still might. I've been talking about this for about a year. I really want to go to this little town in West Texas called Marfa, Texas, Marfa. It's this little town. It's the town where they filmed the James Dean movie Giant, and it's this little town out on the West Texas plains. Everybody that I know that's been there just can't say enough good about it. It probably completes the trifecta of Nashville, Austin, and Marfa. That's kind of what the feeling I get. It's this little libertarian, liberal. If there's such a thing as a libertarian liberal, that they would be living in Marfa. But they have all these little, you can rent like a little adobe hut for an Airbnb and stuff. And anyway, I was thinking of driving out there for that, and spend a couple days there and drive down to Austin and then up to Dallas and then back over to Memphis, back to Nashville, back to Toronto. Maybe like a 2-week round trip kind of thing. Pondering that.
That would be fun. I would like to do. I would do that. I would drop everything to do that drive with you.
All right, I'll pick you up at the airport. Let's talk. I can be convinced because I want to go to Tulsa, in Oklahoma, because I want to go see the Woody Guthrie Museum, which is in Tulsa, as is the Bob Dylan Museum, which is a weird place. But Bob Dylan said, if there's going to be a museum for me, I want it in the town where Woody Guthrie's from. And so that's where it's right next door to the Woody Guthrie Museum, or it's in the same town anyway. So I'd like to go see both of those and then drive down to Dallas, do my pilgrimage to the grassy knoll and the school book depository and just listen to all the conspiracy nuts talk, and then down to Austin for a couple of pints of beer, and then probably just come back. But talk about that. If you want to get away for 2 weeks, I could be convinced.
I would love to. From Dallas, Austin is back and to the left, isn't it?
That's right. That is good.
Let's do this again in December, sometime around my birthday.
You know when we'll do it? We'll do it from Marfa. We'll just sit there that's where we'll do it.
Don't even tempt me.
Well,
real estate prices are so low in Texas.
Let's do it, man. This is starting to sound like a good idea.
I know.
I'd do it, man. I would do it in a heartbeat. You fly to Nashville, I'll pick you up at the airport, and away we go.
Reluctantly.
This podcast reluctantly sponsored by Homegirls.ca, a top producing team at Remax Professionals, and ThompsonMortgages.com. They take care of the financials. You search for your perfect home. If you're searching for a home in the Edmonton area, please use both of these fine sponsors.
Reluctantly.